Thank you for your time
Yeah,
and
no worries.
the times for us.
Um, in the Salt Lake City / West Valley City area of Utah. Um, Currently, I'm just going to school and I am working. I guess that's commonly what people do at my age. So, other than that, there's not really um, much going on. It's just those two normal things. Besides, I can't go out and do other stuff that I wish I could, but those are the two, which is obviously not common or supposed to really happen in somebody as young as I am, which I do have cataracts, which, uh, impair your vision if you know what a cataract is. Um, and steatosis, cataracts, impaired night vision, stuff like that. Um, so when I was a lot younger, I played baseball and they would have me play outfield, and it would be harder to find the pop flies because they would go up in the air and I would look up for them. And it would be a lot longer before I could track them down and find them. And then by the time I would run and like try to jump and like make the catch, everybody would be like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I couldn't see it. So I think that was an indication that I had cataracts. So I might have had cataracts at like age like 10 or earlier, maybe even had them at birth. I don't know. So maybe like that could have been like a symptom that I always have had. Um, and then I played basketball, and I would have shaking in my feet, or not feet, but knees, because you always have to have these back and forth movements when you play basketball. You know, you're defending somebody and they're going back and forth, so you're trying to stay in front. Um, and so my legs would kind of feel a little wobbly when after uh, the encounter would happen, and then I'd be like, oh, my legs kind of feel a little bit weak, but it wouldn't be anything crazy. But it just felt a little bit weird, and so I would just shake them. I just thought like, oh, maybe I'm, you know, um, low on sugar or something like that. So I think those are like the things that I thought were the main instances now that didn't affect me fully, but were clear signs that something was not quite right. But at that time, they didn't seem to be anything impactful. So I've only fallen a few times, um, and that was after I had already gone. Um, I guess technically, I did fall one time when I was playing basketball, and I was just walking, but I didn't think anything of it. I just was like walking, and then fell down, but then I got right back up and I kept walking. Um, but all my other times were after I had already been diagnosed. Um, and they weren't like big falls for me. They were when I was like, I had like a cane in my hand and I just couldn't move because there's a thing, and I don't know the name for it, but where you basically are like locked in place and you can't move. Or at least this happens for me because everybody else is different with their symptoms. But you basically get locked in place and you can't move forward, backward, anywhere. And so I was trying to hold myself up, and after like using every force of my body, I just fell over. Um, and I couldn't get back up, and I just was like on the ground, and I was like, what am I supposed to do now? So it don't really happen that often, mostly because I um, am preventative of it, and I can keep track of it now, and I have too many things to make that not happen. Um, but on that particular day, I had to, um, I had to, I physically couldn't, like I just physically couldn't, because I was going to my car from work, and so I was in the middle of a parking lot, and there was nothing for me to put my hand on and um, get myself up. So um, I had to call um, a non-emergency, like fire squad, whatever you want to call them, and they drove over and they like escorted me to the car and were um, placed me in, and then I drove home from there. Um, So, but if I have something to hold on to, then it's different and I can get up fairly easily. But if there's nothing to hold on to, then it's hard to say. Uh, since there's nothing they can do, um, they notice they're just like, well, there's nothing we can do. All we can do is just give prescriptions for tremor type uh, things. So, like ataxia, which is a form of like muscle jerking, and myoclonus, which is same thing, but in like a different form, and tremors. So basically, we just started with one pill, and they were like, "All right, just take this one." And then the shaking increasingly got worse, and then they were like, "Okay, take these two." And then I was like, "Okay." And they got worse, so they were like, "All right, take these." And then just as it gets worse, they just keep giving more medications. But then now I'm at the point where there's no more medications to give. So they kind of just are like, well, we don't know what else to tell you, but it sucks to be you, I guess, is essentially how I take it. Um, and so then I look at the supplementary factors. Um, and so then I take those things, as well as do things that is not recommended. Not saying not recommended as in it's bad, but saying not recommended as in my doctor didn't tell me, but I'm doing it because it is beneficial, as in like yoga and working out. to kind of strengthen the legs so they can absorb that shaking more, because you figure if your legs are shaking a ton and need to carry yourself more, if you work them out more, then you're going to be able to walk better. Same with yoga. Yoga has that same, and it helps with dexterity. So I would say I'm purposefully doing things that I know that I can do. Um, so I'm not doing anything that I don't know if I can do. Um, but for me personally, nothing really locks up for me. Um, and like there will be things that shake a lot, and so I'd stay away from those, but they don't like um, lock up or jerk. They just shake because one, I'm just not flexible, and two, it's just kind of always been a thing for me. Um, so it's kind of hard to tell what is what in that scenario. Um, but I would kind of just put that along the lines of that. Um, and especially with my case being as odd as it is, with how I can walk without a wheelchair, but then I often need a wheelchair and then often need a walker, so I'm like all over the spectrum when it comes to what my legs do and don't need. So that's another weird element that not everybody with scoliosis has, where I know a lot of the people that do have it need um, a wheelchair all the time, which I don't. Um, I use one if I am going somewhere for like a long period of time. But if I'm not going anywhere for a long period of time, I'll use like a walker. Or if I'm barely going anywhere, I'll just walk on my 2 feet. So it's just kind of a weird scenario.
The medications, you said they kept giving, kept giving. Did they wean you off any medications or you kept taking? And how many are you taking?
Um, so they did keep giving them and keep giving them, but then they tried to like take one off, because while I was have just been stuck inside my house, they were like, well, since you're just stuck here anyways, let's just experiment. Um, and then I stopped taking one, and I didn't feel good in terms of like the shaking. So I was like, no, we definitely need that one. Um, but then they gave me a different one, and my hands I felt like were a lot shakier. And then I was like, is that because of this one? Because I took this like 2 weeks ago, and now my hands are shakier. I was like, so maybe I should stop taking this one and see if my hands get regular again, because my hands usually aren't that shaky. They are somewhat shaky, but they're not that shaky. And they are slowly getting not that shaky anymore. Um, and that one was Berviact. Um, and I'm not taking that one anymore. I still have some, but I've been not taking it to test my theory. But currently, as far as prescriptions, I am taking um, oh, I'm probably gonna forget the names of them because I take a lot, but it's called mm, what's it called? Depakote,
Do you take zonisamide?
zonisamide,
Any clobazam or Onfi?
clonazepam,
Oh, you're taking clonazepam. Okay.
yeah, Depakote, clonazepam, Fycompa,
Mm.
Hepra, and then there's this one pill that's you like take 4 of them at a time. I can't think of that one's name. But essentially, what it ends up being is, um, in total, uh, it's like, let me try and count on my head. It's like 8 pills in the morning, and then 12, 12 at night. So I take like 20, 22, something like that total in a day.
And
Yeah, I'm taking zinc. I'm taking I don't know what its full name is because it has a weird full name, but it's like NAC is its abbreviation. A weird name. Um, just vitamin B12, um, ashwagandha, and then creatine.
mhm.
So typing, I have to do that a decent amount for work, because I do work on a computer, um, and the different days are different in terms of how well I can, because how it is with dosis, it's like a switch being flipped on is this a good day or is this a bad day? Like for instance, today feels like a really good day for me personally. And I don't know if that was just by chance or if it's because um, I've been doing some different things lately. I don't know. But my typing when it's really early in the morning because I have to start work at 8, and I usually don't wake up till close to then. My hands are pretty shaky, but then they get calmer um, towards the middle of the day, and then they start getting shakier at the end of the day. So it could be like they need to warm up and then they start getting fatigued. Um, at least that's what I've noticed. And then as far as writing, I haven't written in quite some time, maybe um, the last school semester um, that I took in person, which was um, I don't know, sometime in uh, like May, April was the last time I wrote something, and my handwriting's always been not great, but I can always read it myself. But my handwriting was a little bit shaky, but it was still legible. So, with that information, do as you will. Um, I mean, as long as it's a well, with my voice, I don't have that much of an issue with it. But I have had, because I also have to speak on the phone on my job, and I have had people um, mention on the phone how I speak slowly, but sometimes I speak slowly, um, just to make sure that they get what I'm telling them, because, you want to make sure that they understand, because you just want to get your point across and be clear, because sometimes people just have it breeze over their head and don't listen. But then sometimes I actually do have to speak slowly, so that way I myself know what I'm not know what I'm saying, but can make sure that it's enunciated clearly. Um, and so I'll speak at that tone, like at a slower pace, so that way they can get it, kind of like that. Um, and so when they say that I talk slower, and they'll kind of be a little rude about it, it kind of digs at me, and I'm like, come on, man, like, you don't know what I'm going through. But I obviously don't go at that with them over the phone, but I'm like, come on, man. Um, but for the most part, my speaking's always the same. But I do talk a little slower sometimes, and if I don't talk slower, then my words kind of stumble over each other, like the syllables will sometimes. Um, that may be able to be heard throughout this. I don't know, potentially. Um, that's kind of what I see in my voice, but it's nothing too bad. I mean, I've tried. It hasn't been anything to the point where it's been like super bad where I've needed accommodations. Um, until this period where in June I haven't been able to get to my work. Um, but we are able to work from home,
Okay.
and so I've just been like, I they know that of my condition, so like I physically can't come in, like I just have to work from home, and so they're like, okay, and I made a meeting or whatever you want to call it with my ADA/HR department at work. We had a whole thing. I had a doctor note, and then my ADA department denied it, and I was like, "Why are you denying that? If I have all the necessary things that I have to complete my job, and so I'm gonna have to go through some more loopholes to try and not loopholes, but just hoops um, to try and see if they're able to approve me for just being able to do my job. Um, so I'm gonna have to speak to them again and then speak to my doctors again. So it's just gonna be speaking to a lot of more people.
Did doctors recommend you for any Medicaid, Social Security, and there's also Department for Rehabilitation. They do assist talking to your employer and make so accommodations because this is so common among us sarcoidosis patients. How do we even sustain continuously working, going on site? And majority of the work would require being receiving phone calls or on the meetings. I just wanted to give that advice because every state does provision those. I can help you out with that from your state and guide you through that. Probably you might want to take their help, who can talk to your employer. Because there could be a chance for you to type. If you can type, that will convert into a voice. If the days that you're not able to. And I wish there is an opportunity for employee, it's on the employee discretion to let the customers on the other side of the phone, let them know that you have certain condition that will make you delay the speech if those accommodations are not available, so that they know in advance rather than getting frustrated and hurt your feelings, right? And well, how is your friends and socialization? Do you still have those friends coming and seeing you and taking you around?
Um, but it's a weird situation for me because, like I said, in high school, it was all us playing basketball. Um, but none of us really were on social media or like anything like that. And then as soon as high school ended, like everybody disappeared. And
Mm.
so I didn't know like where anybody that I went to high school was, like at all. So it was really weird, but that wasn't when my like things was flaring up. I still had my best friend who lived down the street, and we went to um community college together. Um and so I still would hang out with him. Um and then I got some more friends through my retail job. Um and so I still am in contact with them. I don't see them as much as I used to, and I don't know if that's just a uh, thing being older or if it's just a thing because now I'm the person you have to be burdened with carrying around in a wheelchair. I don't know. Um, and obviously, they'll never tell me the truth. Everything they'll say is gonna be, we're older now, so we have more stuff to do. That's always going to be the answer. So I'll never know. Um, and I accept that. I don't mind not knowing because I'll never know. Um, so but it is only just a couple of people. Um, Basically, my interactions are just going and getting um, tattoos. That's basically it.
To
Which is, I mean, it's cool because I like getting them, and I like my tattoo artist. He's done like all of my tattoos except for two, so I'm pretty close with him. I met him when I was 18, um, and I'm 24 now. Um, in fact, I have an appointment with him on the 18th of this October, but that's besides the point. So that's kind of a social. You get out of the house and then spend like 3 to 4-ish hours with somebody. You just kind of talk and chill.
Yeah, that's a hard thing as you all are growing. It's going to get more harder because everyone in your age group now they'll start working, they will have their own families. Socializing is one thing. It's a big hit. Um, that's something that there hopefully there is more resources, at least someone to come and talk to you, right? And make friendships. Um, you have your siblings, two siblings. Out of two siblings, your brother also have it, who's 19-year-old. How is
Mm-hmm.
he doing? He's in the high school now, right? Or he's in the college?
No, he's not in any school.
Okay. He have more hand jerks at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. And how are your parents um, is actually emotionally, physically are able to handle? How are they emotionally? I mean, it's hard hit on the parents in the sense to accept to see the child going through all that. Um, um, it's yeah, whoever is more, closer to you or more sensible, they emotionally it affects. How are you? How are they? And how are you all emotionally handling it?
Um, yeah, it's hard to say. I'm not a good reader at stuff like that, so I can't really say like with the 100% confidence. And I don't know if they. I, I think that they themselves don't show it on purpose. Maybe. At least that's what my view is or my thoughts. Um, because I mean, it sucks, and I get it. Like they help me out, and they're fine with that aspect. But then, like, I don't know how they feel after the fact. Um, and then like I guess that's kind of how I would put it. Is like they'll they'll help, but then after the fact, um, just kind of go go about what was previously happening. So yeah, that's why I mean when I say it's kind of hard to tell. So I don't really know, but I would imagine so, but I have no idea.
How are you emotionally handling?
Um, I mean, different days are different times for me. Um,
Yeah.
and there's like a specific thing going on, and I feel like it's preventing, then that can um, make me feel a different way or just stuff like that. That's basically how it is for me personally, is um, just different days, just depending on what's going on. Um, because there's the days where it's like super, super shaky and like I can't even um, like pick up a piece of food almost. Um, and those ones are the tough days because I'm like, are you kidding me? Um, like I'm just trying to eat a piece of food and I can't even do that. But then there's days um, where everything's pretty chill, and then those ones I'm fine with. Not like 100% because I still have to, you know, walk around and be all uh, cautious to an extent, but um, it's still uh, a lot better.
Someone feeds you when you're unable to eat, when your hands are shaky?
No, I haven't had it. I haven't had to. It hasn't been that bad to have somebody do that.
So you give some time when that happens and then go back to your food.
Basically,
Okay. That does your parents and right, that the clinical trials are available and anytime it may come.
yeah, Dan sent the message, um, like a week ago or less than a week ago, something like that.
Were you excited to hear the news?
Um, Medical stuff confuses me, and I don't get excited about it because um, I just tend to be a realist about it because I don't know what it could be because there can always be a setback with it, and I don't want to be excited and have all of my um, hope set for that, and then it turned out to be nothing. So I just say, okay, this can be something, but don't put everything into it. So that's kind of how I look at things like that. So I say the way I look at it is more so, okay, so this can happen. It will be cool if it does, but it's medical. Medical things change. They always have. So uh, we'll keep an eye out, hope for the best, and just see. That's how I look at medical things.
Yeah, that's a good way to think. So we are prepared, right? Um,
I think about that quite a bit sometimes, and it's nothing. It's nothing crazy. It just be like, well, obviously, I want to play like basketball again, but that would be um like something else. But I'm talking about like just regular. I just simply would want to um like run like down the street and then like walk up a flight of stairs without holding the rails.
mm. Are
So
you,
just something super simple. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think because I haven't been to a store in a while. Um, I've just been online shopping. Um, when I do go, I I go on like patterns of walking. Um, so like if somebody interrupts that pattern that I'm moving in, it bugs me because I like to be in that pattern because it helps with the movement. Um, because like the last place I was in, that wasn't um shopping online, that was in person. Because if I'm in a wheelchair, it's fine. There's no issue there. But if I'm in a walker or a cane, and I need that momentum and steady rhythm, and if somebody like blocks me or cuts me off or does something like that, it it just bugs me, and then I have to like readjust, and that's when it can kind of bother me and kind of make me shake a little more. But yeah, as far as like large places making me shake more, they don't. It's just I don't like them, if that makes sense. Because I like to go to um, bars and clubs, but I can't really do that anymore in my current state because like 6 months or not 6 months in June, at the very end of June, I went to a place, um, and it was fine. Um, but then the very next day, my shaking got so bad that I couldn't even move hardly. And that's like where my cycle is at right now. Um,
yeah,
and so prior to that, though, I was in there just fine. Um, and that amount of people I'm fine with, um, you know, and everything like that's fine. I don't think I've ever been to a store by myself in a wheelchair.